Hello Valued viewers, I hope you're doing very well. It's a lovely English Sunday here, a little bit sunny but also raining. Today we're going to try and sort out a problem on the front offside corner of the suspension. So what we found the last time I drove it a few days ago was that everything was okay, and then it started smelling of burnt rubber, which is never a good sign in a car. Then the front right wheel jammed up, so obviously the front right tyre was rubbing against something, which is not normal. I can't see any broken wishbones, struts, so it's probably going to be a problem with the suspension spring on the right side, whether it's broken or come out of place. I don't know. I've never had this happen before. So let's jack the car up and start analysing the front suspension to see what went wrong. Remember, if you're going to look at springs, undo springs or whatever, at a minimum to wear eye protection. So let's see what we find. Welcome back. So our analysis shows that we have a clear case of spring snappage right in the middle. Really interesting how this happens. I've never actually had it happen to me before, but you kind of see clear break right along there. That's where that fracture was. Really interesting how that happens. And the other side of the brake, it's just completely all smegged up now basically. My presumption is that there's only so many times you can load steel up in compressing it and stretching it and elasticity before it's eventually going to snap, and I guess it snapped here. I don't think I've done anything wrong. Maybe gone over a massive pothole that's just compressed it so suddenly that it's forced it to snap. Very annoying, but there you go. So there's no way of repairing this. You need to get new springs. I'm going to order some new springs. Now it's always a good idea, if you're going to do something like this, to just do all the other stuff you can get access to at the same time. So order some new springs all the way around rather than just getting one spring so they match. Discs are full, so don't need to worry about that. Pads are full, don't need to worry about that. ABS sensors are new anyway, I replaced them last month. Brake lines probably could do with being replaced, but it's a pain in the backside. I'll have to go and rebleed the brakes and everything, and I really can't be bothered to do that at the moment, so I'm going to leave the brake lines. They're not too bad. Everything else, all this stuff is rusty and stuff, but it really doesn't matter. It's only surface rust. I think we'll buy more or less standard springs, maybe slightly stronger if I can get reinforced springs. That would be useful. The roads around here where I live are incredibly bad, they're full of bumps and potholes, so the suspension doesn't last very long around here. So taking the shocks off was a bit more difficult than I thought. These are the top mount, kind of top bolts, and you just need to undo them obviously. But the problem we found was, you see how it's kind of sat in here, so you can't get a spanner on it. Which was really annoying. I tried a deep head spanner, it didn't really work either. The only way I could actually get that off in the end was to put about half a ton of pressure on the whole assembly. So I jacked that up there, and the whole front of the car is basically resting on that disc there now, so that's all getting pushed through the shock, and then get an impact gun on it with an impact socket. That's the only way I could find of getting that off. I don't think there's any other way of doing it, so just so you know. Going to remove the shocks now just with these two bolts there, and the whole shock assembly should come away then. Okay, two front shocks off the car. That one I ended up just cutting the spring into pieces to get it off, because it was all mangled everywhere. This one just came off in one lump. Then of course what happens is you get to the next nut, which is that one there. That won't be corroded, 17mm on this car, and a suitable hex key to go in there, and you should be able to hold that there to stop the shock assembly, or the interior shock rotating, and then you should be able to break that nut off easily. Just going to allow our top mount to come off. In theory, off now. The top mount seems fine. It's a bit dirty and whatnot, but not a vast amount of wear, no cracks in the rubber. Nothing really I can see wrong with it, so I might as well keep them, plus they're expensive as well. The top upper spring retainer plate seems fine, nothing wrong with it. The rubber boot, it looks a bit shabby, but when you get down to it, it's actually fine. It's not split, there's nothing really wrong with it. The shock itself is fine. So what I'll do is just give that a good clean up with a wire brush, just put some anti-rust on. I mean, these are dirt cheap anyway, they're like 40 quid each, so I'm not going to worry too much, but if it's nothing wrong with it, we might as well save it. Then I'll break that one there down and we'll do the same thing. Okay, that's both front shocks stripped down and primed, sealed. So that's that. I'm going to wait for the new springs to arrive and then we'll reverse everything, build it up. Welcome back, valued viewers. It's the next weekend. It's alright weather actually. The springs have come. I've got Eibach, what did I get? Eibach something or other. Cost about £190, which is more than I wanted, but it is what it is. They're slightly stiffer and slightly lower than the originals, but I'm hoping not enough that the wife will notice. I've kind of primed these old shocks here, but I'm not going to bother painting them because it's just not worth it. I can replace them so easily. I guess now we start building back the front struts. Stand by. Ta-da! All went together perfectly, nice and easy. So now I've got to go and prep. There's obviously been some damage to the wheel arches where the accident happened. So I've got to go and prep that bit of metal. Hopefully it's just scrubbing and painting, no welding. And then we can think about getting these front struts in. Come back, valued viewers. Everything done now, I believe. Oh god, this is a lot harder than it used to be. So we've got, if you can see there, on the rear, Eibach springs on the rear axle. Zap. Pretty easy to fit. Fronts went together okay. Well, one was really hard. One was really stiff and hard. I don't know what I did wrong, but went in the end. I suppose you can't really see anything there, but all in there on both sides, and it's cleaned up. The only real problem I had, I damaged this top mount cap here with the impact gun, just being a bit of a noob, being a bit rusty. Well, not it rusty, me rusty. Well, it was rusty as well, I suppose. Anyway, I really need to replace that for safety, but otherwise it's all together. I am going to try and inflate the busted tyre. I've got 2 new tyres to fit as well, but I need to take that to the garage for that. I can't do that. Try and inflate the busted tyre, take it for a run and see if everything works. But fingers crossed, that should be the end of that problem. Bring on the next one. I'll see you later.